Hey everyone, Rajat here. So in today's video, I want to talk about this unique experience I have had yesterday while interviewing for a JavaScript position and to be exact, a front-end JavaScript developer's position for a bank from a European country. So the entire interview process was consisting of a bunch of trivia questions. So I found that particular experience pretty unique, I would say, because they were throwing some gotchas and pitfall questions at me. So I attended two technical rounds actually. So the first technical round was of some sort of online quiz, and it was containing some trivias related to front end and DOM manipulation and JavaScript functions. After attending that particular online quiz, I was pretty sure that these guys are actually looking for someone who has quite a lot of hands-on over DOM manipulation and all. But still I was like, okay, let's go to the round two, and fortunately I was able to clear that technical round one. That was then online test, and I went for an on-site interview, and that was when I discovered this unique pattern which these guys are following. So the interviewer, he right off the bat started throwing JavaScript gotchas at me, and I do not know about you, but I felt like that I was, fumbling quite a lot while addressing those gotchas, because you do not really get to see those gotchas in your day-to-day JavaScript programming. Plus, nobody writes code like that. So the entire experience was more like that they have got this entire laundry list of gotchas which they are going to throw at you like one gotcha. If you are able to answer it or not, they are moving on to the second gotcha as soon as they get an opportunity. Okay, so it was more like that. So after encountering two or three gotchas, I was pretty, you can say my mind was pretty annoyed, and I was not able to focus what was being asked. I was pretty disappointed in my JavaScript skills, I would say. All those years of experience in building client facing applications for myself and for my employer felt less significant, felt like pointless, because I was not able to address these JavaScript, I would say, gotchas. And obviously, those gotchas got the best of me, and I actually tanked that interview. I was not able to clear that round second. But I would say that that was a pretty unique experience. I'm not blaming the recruiter for asking some gotcha questions, because he was right in his place. He wanted to figure out how well I know the language. But yes, asking those gotcha questions back to back can be troublesome, or can be a really bad indicator about what kind of a programmer you are interviewing and how good the programmer really is, because nobody can know all of these gotchas out there, and these gotchas are actually designed to trip programmers up. And when you have thrown enough gotchas at a programmer, his mind is going to go into this mode of that he does not know his stuff well, and then the subsequent questions can be very troublesome for the interviewee. Okay, so that was the entire gist of how I felt while interviewing with this particular company, right? So here is something what I have learned. So although it is really easy for me to blame the recruiter that he was asking me bunch of gotchas, but like I cannot blame him. He was right in his spot, and I was also right in my spot, that I certainly did not have that much knowledge about those gotchas, but I knew how to program. I have years of experience. I knew how to program. I knew how to write JavaScript and all. But yeah, if you are going to ask that particular interviewer, he would tell you that I did not know my stuff well, because I was not able to answer those gotcha questions related to function hosting, variable hosting, and things like that. Okay, so what is the takeaway from this? I would say that sooner or later you are going to get such recruiters who are going to ask you gotcha questions. And here is the interesting thing. I actually made a Google search about what he asked, and I found one particular web page where all of those questions were listed in a chronological order, in the chronological order he asked me. those questions. So I was pretty sure that he had gone through that particular web page, and because all the variable names were similar, all the situations were similar uh, to what was listed on that web page. So I was pretty clear that he had gone through this one particular guide to interview some developers, or even if he hadn't, this web page and what he asked me were matching to quite a lot of extent. So you can say that from time to time you are going to get some recruiters like these who are going to ask you gotcha questions, and in case you do not have any proper explanation to these gotcha questions, you are bound to tank such interviews. So it is better to make a Google search of all common JavaScript gotchas and by heart them, even if you do not write such a convoluted and a cryptic code in your day-to-day language, because no logical programmer likes to write such unmaintainable and such cryptic code. We do not write code like this, but recruiters like to throw these bunch of trivia questions, bunch of gotcha questions at you, so as to check like how well do you know the language. Although it can be a false indicator of a candidate's potential as a programmer, but still it's a pretty common mode of interviewing which I was not aware of, to be very honest, because I have interviewed with quite a lot of companies, and in almost all of those companies they have asked me scenario based questions. They did not ask me like trivia questions. So the companies have asked me to create applications, they have asked me to write some sort of functions, to implement some sort of thing, but this company was asking back to back trivia questions, and you can get to interview with such companies from time to time. So it's better to practice your trivia questions when it comes to JavaScript. Even if you are not appearing for a JavaScript based position, it's better to always figure out the gotchas of your programming language and by heart them, because it can come really handy in such situation, and at least you can save yourself during the interview, or you will not walk out with a sense of embarrassment that you did not know your language properly even after years of development experience. So that is a pretty unique experience and unique thing I have learned yesterday, and I am going to implement some changes into my learning schedule. So I have made a list of some really weird and tricky JavaScript pitfall questions and JavaScript gotchas, which I am going to maintain a repository of. In case you want to have the access to such repository, just leave a comment stating that you would also like to go through this gotchas repository, and I'll share it with you. So I'm going to maintain that repository with me, and I will just try to keep on adding more and more things to this repository in order to be sure that I know my language properly, which means that I know these gotchas questions properly. And see, the thing is, these gotchas exist for a reason, which means that our language has got some nooks and crannies, some edge cases, which we should be aware of, right? So even if we are not going to write such cryptic code, we can at least gain more insights about our language, about like how our language works and things like that. So it is going to make us better programmers in the long run. So what's the harm in knowing these gotchas? Okay, so it's my appeal to you that if you are going to appear for a programming interview, always make sure that you have Google search the gotchas of your language, because recruiters can ask them from time to time. In case you have any more doubts regarding the interview process and all, make sure you leave a comment on this video, and in case you like such videos, give this video a thumbs up.